Day 5 of making custom body kits. The chat should be working, and now I've got a setting enabled through Stream Elements where if anybody subscribes, I don't know if liking or there's a couple other things, they'll actually get a notification on screen, so that'll be kind of cool. So we'll look out for that today. Let's do a quick test chat here, and while we're waiting for people to roll in, let's clean up this space a little bit. This is pretty cool. We are well on our way to making some really cool custom body kits. This is technically our first go around at making a overfender based off the widebody 97 Civic we have behind us. This is flimsy. This is just one layer of chop strand and Bondo resin. Not the best stuff in the world, but this model we got going on right here is using much higher quality resin, much higher quality fabrics, and it should be pretty awesome. Today we got Today we gotta add a couple layers to it, and then tomorrow we should finally be taking it off the car and trimming it to shape. And yeah, hopefully I can get another EK Civic in here, or maybe I'll get myself a set of EK Civic fenders and we can test fit it on a stock body Civic, see how it fits. This should fit the coupe, the sedan, and the hatchback. I believe they all have the same front fenders from 1996 to 1998. The rear is going to be a little bit different for when I make those over fenders, but it's going to be pretty much the same process. So yeah, I can't wait. Looks like our test chat worked just fine. I'll throw some gloves on and get this cleaned up. Then we'll throw in our PPE. I've got some different PPE we're going to try on today. Before I was using, a big upgrade in the last couple videos is I got myself an actual suit to put over my clothes to keep myself from getting fiberglass all over. And then another thing I was doing was wearing a respirator, but the original respirator I had on was just filtering out particulates in the air. The new respirator I got is not only filters out particulates, but it also filters out odors or any volatile organic compounds in the air. So we'll be tossing that on today, and hopefully it'll keep me from getting a headache or feeling kind of catching a buzz on today's stream. So yeah, I can't wait to get you guys in here. That's just a quick intro for you. And you might notice the overfender is a nice kind of light blue color. We've started experimenting with pigmenting resins, and what I've noticed so far is the pigment in the resin doesn't really affect the cure at all. I like using it, especially mixing it so it's like a really nice opaque color. I like using it because it kind of helps to track where you've brushed it on and when you haven't brushed it on. When you're using clear, it's a little bit hard to see kind of your progress along the way. And if I do use different colors for each layer, when I'm doing the sanding and finishing, I'll know how deep I've sanded depending on the color that I sanded down to. So that'll be kind of cool when it comes down to that, because we're basically making the actual product. So I'm creating what the product is gonna look like. So it's gonna be a little more round, a little bit more flowy than what the car looks like now. I'm using steel for the wide body on this car, and it's just formed sheet metal, so it's got that sharp sheet metal edge. These will have kind of nice round or smoother edges. Instead of being like a gap underneath the sheet metal, I've got it formed into the car, and we'll work on that a little bit today as well. So I'll just keep on cleaning here. And yeah, I've had a couple people, probably 5 or 6 now, reach out to me about doing some custom work on their car. I haven't really come up with any prices yet for my work. I'm still obviously perfecting my craft here. I mean, we got the basics down, but I'm still learning. I've got a good amount of experience with the sheet metal fabrication. I don't have that much experience with composites, but we are learning a ton every day here. So let me go ahead and turn down the mic. It looks like I'm peaking the mic every once in a while, so let's turn that down just a little bit. I had to put the latency today to low instead of ultra low, so there might be a little bit more of delay. There might be a little bit more of a delay when you type something and then it shows up in the chat, but yeah, it'll have better audio quality. I rewatched the last stream over, and I noticed especially towards the end the audio was kind of cracking up, so it's probably just due to the maybe like not the best internet in the world, and then trying to stream with ultra low latency. So there might be like a 15 to 30 second delay from when you type something and it shows up in the chat, but it is what it is. I'd rather have that than have like really terrible sounding audio, you know. I want this video to be helpful even if you weren't able to catch it live. Although it's going to be much more enjoyable if you tune in live. Yeah, I was getting a little impatient earlier. I did a little bit of sanding, and I definitely got some fibers in my hands. But I just wanted to knock down some of the high spots on the flare. Let's see. Maybe I'll see if I can use a vacuum for that. I'll have to unplug my laptop for just a split second. I plug in this vacuum and we'll clean up all these fibers here. Like I said, I definitely got some in my hand. Let's see if I got a little bit on my clothes too, so we'll suck those off. Much better. So we'll go ahead and start mixing up some colors today. Maybe we'll do like a yellow. Maybe we'll do like a light yellow, maybe a greenish color. Take some acetone and give this a quick wipe down. Make sure we get all the dust off. Honestly, there's not much, so we're not in bad shape. But, I decided to start the stream a little early today, so those who have been kind of coming in around like 5:15 or whatever don't have to watch me sit here and sand the car for a while or kind of spend too much time getting the area prepped. But it's important. Definitely don't want to miss out on the prep work. Yeah, along this ridge here, there was a couple high spots. I wanted to knock those down. And yeah, if you're new here, feel free to say hi. It's a little more fun having somebody to talk to when I'm doing this. Yeah, we're kind of building a pretty cool community here, just the people that are also interested in composites or maybe one day looking to get themselves a kit. Yeah, not a lot of dust on there. We're sitting pretty good. So, yep, here's the measuring cups we're using. And we found a good ratio for us was 5 ounces of resin and about a cap full around like 2.5 cc or about 3 cc of the catalyst for activating our resin. So I think we're just going to do 2 more layers of the 2x2 twill woven fabric today. This stuff's pretty cool. It basically looks like a white carbon fiber. It's really sweet. So I got the fabric laying over here. It's really cool stuff. So let me make sure the stream's working just fine on the YouTube side of things. Everything looks good on my end. Let's see. Yep, everything looks good, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut out some material. I kind of use this, our first fender, I kind of use this as a guide. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions at any time, feel free to let them out. Trying to do a little bit better job of making a cutout of this fabric that's a little less sloppy. Before, I'd have a lot of excess hanging off the edges, and that's just a waste of material. So I'm gonna lay it exactly on here, just like I'm gonna lay it on the car. And I will try to avoid too much excess here. This 2x2 woven stuff is actually pretty expensive, so. And we'll just take a Sharpie, trace it out, and then, yeah, maybe I'll use that as a stencil in the future. If I can find my Sharpie, let me go grab one. All right. There we go. That'll be good shape for us. And then maybe I'll just lay that back on top of the fabric so I can cut 2 out. And yeah, it should look really nice. And I really should have a second set of shears, one for cutting the resin when it's saturated, and one for cutting the resin when it's, sorry, I should have 2 sets of shears. One for cutting the mat when it's saturated in resin, and one for cutting the mat when it's just dry like this, because cutting it with the resin definitely dulls the scissors quite a bit. And at the end of the day, you are cutting glass, so it'll dull a set of scissors. Gee, I can't speak today. It will dull a set of scissors really fast. All right. Let's see. That should be good. And then we'll save this piece. This will cover the bottom portion here. I can trim this to a little bit better shape. It's a quiet day today on the stream. Where'd everybody go? I don't know what happened. This shape is way out of whack. But luckily this stuff is pretty formable, so I can kind of stretch it to where I need it. Huh, strange. Well, maybe I'll just lay one layer today, and then I'll lay patches in areas where I think might need a little bit of reinforcement. So I'll just do one layer at a time. Hey, we got somebody in here. Nathan, oh yeah, got any merch for sale at the moment? I want to wrap crafting cars. I do have some merch on sale at the moment. So if you, sometimes on like other videos, it'll have links to the store right under the video. Otherwise, if you just go to craftingcars.shop, there's some information about what we do here, and then there is a section where you can buy sweatshirts. We got mugs, we got hats, t-shirts, and probably do even more soon. So the last merch drop we did was celebrating hitting 9,000 subscribers, so they're all a bunch of like tachometers going over 9,000. But pretty soon in the future here, I'll have a couple of them with the new company logo. Should be pretty cool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna mix up a batch quick, and we'll wet this out here. I'll give myself a little bit more time. On the previous episodes, I did 2 layers I wetted out 2 layers at a time, and that gave me probably like maybe a little. It got me a little short on time. So by the time I would start pulling resin out of my second cup, if I did mix 2 5-ounce cups, it would start to gel up on me. It'd start to kick off. So we're just gonna do 1 mixture at a time. If you guys have any ideas for colors today, I got a couple. I got red, green, yellow, white. I don't think I want to do light blue today, so we could change the color up a little bit. Yeah, it should work out pretty good. Oh, GMT 400 Chevy. Amazed you still have that Civic. Sure has come a long way since high school. Great work, man. Thank you. Is that Brady or Brady or what was it? What was your name? It's Garvey. Cody or Brady? Which one are you? I'm guessing that's one of you guys. You should see my Astro van. You guys probably like that. But yeah, this thing has come a long way. For a while there, I think at its peak, I was running that 400 horsepower B16 engine. And the next thing for it after copying the body kit is I'm putting a J series in there. So it's be about 300 horsepower, rear wheel drive, naturally aspirated using Miata subframes. So those are actually Miata brakes. This is Miata subframes front and rear. I just haven't attached them to the car yet. Yep, Brady. Cool. Well, good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Move this a little closer. Yeah, so we're just going to put one layer on today, or one layer on at a time today. If I can move the camera a little more. We'll get real up and close today. So the resin we're using is this. It's a Orca 555 vinyl ester. I might switch to a different kind of epoxy in the future, but this stuff performs very well. It's just very, very smelly stuff. And we have this here. It's the MAKP 9. This is our catalyst. It's what kicks it off, makes it cure rock solid for us. I've got a bunch of fiberglass on myself today. Should have put my little suit on a little earlier, but here we are. Let's see, where did I put that masking tape here? I'm always losing that. Oh, right on the car. Yeah, sometimes I get the fibers on me. Just take some tape and just whoop. Helps get them off your clothes. Otherwise, they work themselves in there, and it's not a fun time. Then I'll get my respirator on before I go ahead and open up that vinyl ester, because that'll give you a headache if you're not careful. Not the best stuff to be breathing in. That's for damn sure. So Brady, what are you up to these days? I'm guessing you're a mechanic of some sort. This is probably the last day I'll be putting this one on. It's starting to get a little worn out on me. Maybe we'll do, maybe we'll do like a yellow color today. That'd be kind of cool. Let's see, what do we got here for resins? Got some yellow pigment. Alright, millwright. Okay, that's what I figured. Basically, industrial mechanics install, repair, and align industrial equipment. Going out to the Ford Ranger/Bronco plant after Christmas to repair some paint robots. Oh, cool. We got my buddy Ethan. He pulls up to this chat every once in a while. He repairs robots as well. And yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, yeah, let me plug in my laptop one more time. Damn. So we had all that snow, right? And then yesterday, all of it melted, and then a bunch of it started freezing today. So yeah, like it seems like every 10 minutes, a huge chunk of ice falls off the roof of this place, and it's just loud as hell. Luckily, nothing slid off and hit any of the cars outside. But yeah, that's cool. I spent about 6.5 years fixing industrial CNC machines after I got done with tech school, so I know how it goes. And here we are now, right back to where we started back in auto shop class, like 2016, 2017. Hey, do you recommend using that cloth or chopped? All right, so it all depends on exactly what you are going for. So this is the cloth I'm using right now. So this is a 2x2 twill. This is exactly like what your most like standard carbon fiber comes in. It's super conformable. So if you have a complex shape, like something like this, well, it doesn't look so complex right now when I have the loose fabrics, but if you have like sharp corners, little pockets, like indents and stuff like that, this stuff works really well, but not as well as a chop strand mat. And it gets a little bit confusing. Let me grab some of this. So it's not all created equally. So the lighter weight the fabric, the easier it is going to be to conform to complex shapes. You have this kind of woven fabric, which is very, very expensive. You got other kinds that's a little tighter weave. It's not as conformable, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. So woven fiberglass fabric has a lot more tensile strength. It's less likely to break on you. And then when you lay it up on your molds or when you're creating your parts, yeah, it'll make a durable part, but it'll still flex quite a bit unless you layer it up like quite a bit. Like it's gonna take 6 or 8 layers of this to make a like rock solid part. Where if you use this, depending on the weight, yet again, so a lighter weight is going to conform to the shapes a lot better than a heavier weight one. But the heavier weight one will build up thickness. So about 2 layers of this will be about, it'll be thicker, it'll be stronger, it'll be a little bit more brittle, but it won't have as much tensile strength, and so it'll be easier to crack, and yeah, it builds up the thickness quite a bit, and it kind of hides the details. So if you're trying to show off like sharp edges, like this fender started with a really sharp radius here, it kind of hides that. It kind of humps over it, and when you wet over this, so if you do like a wet layup, it looks kind of lumpy. Where if you do a wet layup over this, and you take your time and do it right, it'll be a perfectly flat surface. So underneath here is a wet layup of the woven cloth, and it is just perfectly smooth. Where when I did my first prototype here, where did I set that guy? Well, I did this one. If you just do one layer of the chop strand, you can see it's very bumpy. So this is the heavyweight chop strand, very bumpy. This went over a shape like this. So the first time around I had this little piece on the fender, and you could see just how much it kind of roughens the edges. Where if you wrap a piece like this with woven, you can actually get it to conform nice and tight, just like the part you're looking for. So that's why this stuff is a little bit more expensive. It's just like when people do wet layups with carbon fiber, you can do some pretty complex shapes with that stuff. But then, yeah, like I said, the weight changes things too. All right. Nico Drift. I'm doing a Genesis Coupe overfenders with chop, but the finish is very wavy. Yep, so yeah, kind of like I was just talking about. So if you don't want that wavy finish, you got to use very lightweight and just build it up layer by layer, and then use the woven mat if you're working on stuff that doesn't have to be super accurate. But let's see. Yeah, Branson would always say too. Yeah, mine have been coming out like that, but I've been adding Bondo and fixing it, but yeah, I feel like it's a lot of work. Yeah, for sure. Actually, before I did the steel wide body on the Civic, I did try to do a fiberglass wide body. And one of the ways they did this kit, and I see people do this too, is they'd start with just like your universal plastic overfenders, kind of rough those up, install them on the car, and then mold the plastic overfender into the body using a heavy chop strand mat like that. And I did the same thing, and oh my goodness, it took forever just to get that shape smoothed out. I probably spent easily like 10 hours and so much Bondo and so much filler that by the time I had my fender flare, which is just plastic with the chop strand and then the like Bondo filler material over top of that, they'd be super heavy. So I'm trying to avoid that this time around. And as you can see, this is way smoother of a finish than using the chop strand. So yeah, definitely recommend the woven mat if you're looking for a really flat finish. Yeah, Mr. Branson would be proud of me, yeah. Yeah, he's the one that got me to do tech school. But yeah, he loved this Civic. Yeah, you like me. So yeah, I'm about to peel this back here. We're gonna wet this out. Let me put on my respirator with the 3M P100 cartridges to help filter out the volatile organic compounds that come out of the Orca 555 vinyl ester. No need to breathe that in if we don't have to. So yeah, here's my old particle filters. They work pretty good for capturing the dust and stuff, but like I said, I didn't really filter out the odors or anything. And then here are my new P100 filters. They're a different shape. These ones are pink, circular shape. Hopefully, yeah, they should still work just fine. Snap this into place. Close enough. And I think they just go on and rotate, and they're snapped on, just like that. Can never be too safe. Yeah, yesterday I was definitely feeling a buzz in here with all the chemicals I was breathing in. Not good. All right, I'll try not to hit my microphone here. All right, let's get this first set of vinyl ester mixed up. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll just do a darker blue today. I'll just do a darker blue. How's that sound? Nice dark blue, and we'll really get it saturated. So I'll bring you guys on down here. Beep. Yeah, yesterday mixing 2 batches at a time. Although it's time efficient, it gets a little sketchy if you got to take your time on that second batch, because this stuff kicks off in probably around like 10-15 minutes. Oh, and another trick we learned the other day is put on a couple different sets of gloves. I had 2 sets on, overlapped. I might do 3 today. Just when this stuff gets kind of thicker, it's nice to just take a set of gloves off. Otherwise, your hands get so sticky and everything you touch sticks to them, which can be a real mess when you got all the fiberglass fenders all over the place. So yeah, we'll put on 3 layers today. All right, just ordered some. So yeah, did you end up ordering the 12 weave fiberglass mat? And sorry for the stream delay today too. The audio was a little messed up in the last one, so I know if I reduce the, or if I increase the latency just a little bit, it was going to give me a little bit better audio quality. So sorry about the delay there. Okay, so that's 2 sets of gloves. I got new brushes today too. 3 might be a little excessive. Yeah, I should have put my suit on a little earlier today. I'm a little itchy. And then for recoat time on this resin, We had a specialist in here the other day, Gray Duck Composites. Or Gray Duck Customs, or Josh, he said with this vinyl ester stuff, you can wait 25 hours and do a recoat. You don't have to scuff it up. The scuff marks you see on here were just me flattening out some humps that I had in there. It was nothing major though. Oh, and I guess I also noticed this too. This resin was a lot easier to sand than say like the Bondo polyester resin I've used in the past. I didn't even realize that, but I was able to take out humps with 40 grit pretty damn fast just with my hand. I didn't have to use the machine at all, so that might be one of the benefits of using a little bit higher quality resin than something you find at your local auto parts shelf. So let's get to work here. Taking the cap off, so the mask is going on. Oh shit, JD Auto Works, been meaning to tune in. You're a legend, buddy. I'm just another guy. I'm definitely not a legend, but thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, man. That name sounds very familiar. I must know you from somewhere. All right, I'm about to open up this resin, so we're putting the mask on, and we're gonna grab a brush, wet out our first layer here. JD Auto Works, who came in at a really good time. Yeah, we'll put a nice thick layer all over this thing, and then I've got our next layer of woven twill fiberglass mat. I think it's 0.75 ounce per square foot, and we're gonna go ahead and drop that down and kind of dab it in with our rollers and our new brushes. Everybody recommends you just use kind of a cheaper brush for these, because once you use resin, when you use these with the vinyl ester resin, it pretty much trashes them. So they don't last too long. Sometimes the bristles like to fall out of these, which can get really annoying. There is a couple workarounds for that. One of them is well, that was scary. I must not have my door all the way closed. It just shut on me. That was scary. All right. It's Jeff, just sitting in my Integra watching this. Ah, that's where I know you. Okay, that's where I know you from. Yeah, your channel is JD Auto Works. I was gonna say I knew that. Yeah. Why JD Auto Works? Is your last name start with a D or something? Anyway, like I said, these brushes they're good to use because they're cheap. Throw away. You get a whole pack like this. This is a 24 pack. I think it costs like $10. So where like a decent brush, it's like $10 just by itself these days. So. Yeah, not bad to use these. There is a couple tricks to make sure the bristles don't fall out. Sometimes I just like to kind of go through them and pull out any loose bristles before I go ahead and stick it in the resin. Even doing that, there's going to be a couple, but it's not the end of the world. You can actually sand them down. It's no big issue. Okay, last name starts with a D. Okay, that's all it is. Cool. All right, mask is going on. It was nice talking to you guys. I'm going to lace them out, and then I'll pull my mask off and pretty soon here and talk to you guys a little bit more. So we're doing 5 ounces. All right, about there. Got our popsicle stick, and for this, I'm gonna use 2.5 cc, which is not a lot, just about a capful. Boop. And then for pigment today, we said we were gonna use, we're gonna go blue. So this has already got the cap off. I don't know the specific ratio. I just dump it in, and when it feels right, it feels right. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of dump it in there. That's plenty. And we'll just do a little bit of white today. Not too much. Then we'll get that mixed up. And you want to be thorough. You want to make sure you scrape the bottoms, scrape the sides and everything. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. All right, now we're going to go ahead and lay it on real thick. If I can move my microphone out of my hat here. Just hear me breathing real loud. Go ahead. I'll just clip my microphone off to the side for now. All right, let's do this. And yeah, it can get kind of messy, but that's all right. It's also a lot of fun. right, that's pretty good. I'm just going to unfold that top layer there. And I start kind of pressing the fiber into the more complicated spaces and then work out from there. It's a lot easier than doing the other way around. Perfect. And I got this little piece here. That's going to go right here. I just kind of butt up the edges there. And then I'll put a piece right on the bottom here. I'll do that pretty soon here. So go ahead and wet that out. Now we're just going to go over the top of this, wet it out. All right, so even without putting too much on the top, we have a pretty good layer of, we got a pretty good impregnation already. You obviously don't want to put too much resin. You want to have a good resin to fabric ratio here, especially if you want to make sure that it doesn't turn out too lumpy. So just going to add just a little bit of resin at a time, focusing on complete coverage. and that came out pretty nice. I'll get you guys a little closer. I spent a little extra time trying to make sure that I smeared the resin out real smooth, and we came up with a pretty good finished product here. So that's just one layer. We're gonna put one more on there today. See if I can get a better view for you guys. There you go. That's just one layer. You can see how the 2x2 twill woven fiberglass mat does a very good job keeping the part looking accurate, conforming to the shapes without kind of blurring the lines. And it gives you a nice, smooth, uniform finish. That's what we want. The smoother we get the finish when we lay out the resin, the less kind of body work we have to do once the resin cures. Trying to save ourselves basically as much time as possible. So let's go ahead and get another layer cut out. And then this should hopefully be the last layer we put on the car. And at least the overfender should be stiff enough where we can pull it off the car and make a negative mold for it, or even go ahead and maybe test it on some other EK Civics. And we'll use this as a guide once more. I kind of conform the fabric to the exact shape I need. That's when I cut out my stencil. And then we just work from there. All right, There's our stencil. All right. I'm about ready to mix up another batch and send on another layer. I'll probably do the same color. Maybe I'll go a little bit darker blue this time. There's more ice falling off the ceiling. Oh, yeah, we gotta put our cap full of catalyst in there. All right, here we go. Much darker blue this time around.
All right.
Now I got a couple bubbles in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and roll those out with the little roller here. All right, now I'm gonna cut some excess off, and since this is our last coat, I'm gonna lay it on pretty thick here. One more last thick layer of resin. That's okay. And there we go, guys. Looks pretty dang good. Well, I could actually, I'll hit it with the brush a couple more times. Ethan! What up, Ethan? Yeah, that's a nice pretty blue. Laura, hey, what up? All right. And that's about perfect. Yeah, that is a very, very pretty blue. That's very pretty blue. Oh, Lolo. Love the new shot, by the way. Thank you. Lodo Visop. Thank you very much. Yeah, let me give you guys a close-up. This thing turned out really nice today. So I just laid down my second coat here. And this is it. No more laying down fiberglass and resin. Tomorrow we'll actually be cutting this piece off, thank goodness. So we'll be popping off the car, trimming it up, and then test fitting it back on the car. And then, yeah, hopefully test fitting it on a EK Civic one of these days. So see, tomorrow I'll probably do, before popping it off, I'll probably do a little bit of sanding and smoothing. Just get as much body work done on it as I can while it's still on like a nice hard surface. Once I get it nice and smooth and up to my spec, then yeah, we'll pop this thing off. Should look really good. Let me get you guys a little closer view. That's a very, very beautiful blue. It's like an ocean. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. See, we got a couple brush bristles in there, but that's not the end of the world. Just gonna leave those. We can sand those out tomorrow. But we don't have any big gloops or drips or anything. And that patch, yeah, it's like I said, just like the ocean. And that little patch panel we made to cover up this little sharp edge here turned out super nice. It's like every layer that I put on, the smoother that it got, and now it looks great. So let me show you that quick. See how it kind of flows into the body a little bit better? Or before that was like a really sharp hole. Now it just flows right into the body. And then the fender actually ends right about like here. Right about here. So all this will get cut off. And then you guys see that body line there? Kind of hard to tell. But about an inch down, there's like a big body line right here. It's gonna get cut right there. Yeah, the blue is beautiful. And I've got it's a dark blue with a light blue underneath, so it kind of gives it that kind of ocean effect. It doesn't look like the resin's laid out pretty smooth, but it's actually laid out a lot smoother than it was yesterday. So I'm very excited. Should sand very easy tomorrow. And I did notice this resin does sand very easily by hand. I think it definitely sands easier than the Bondo polyester resin. And you guys may have noticed, these are the pods I was wearing yesterday. I got new ones today. These ones are for particulates. These ones are for vapors and volatile organic compounds. So I feel much better wearing these. I feel a lot better. Let me put on one more pair of gloves and we'll clean up our tools and clean up our mess here, and we'll keep talking for a little bit. Stream for, I'll give it another 15 minutes. Bye, Ethan. Thank you for tuning in. And today I think is the last day wearing this suit. I picked up a couple more, so this one's falling apart on me. What the fuck? What the fuck? It was a quiet stream today, not too much action in the chat. That's okay. I'm still gonna be working. Alrighty. All right, well, since it was more of a quiet stream today and we've laid on our 2 layers, kind of simple day today. It's kind of the same thing we did yesterday. I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be peeling this thing off the car finally and trimming it out and taking the tape off the car and doing a quick test fit, but I'm very excited. This thing looks very cool. I'm glad we chose the dark blue as the final color. Yeah, it looks very nice. So yeah, see you then. Bye-bye.